Let me get the clicker here. Okay. Yeah, so a couple of things. On the iTunes deal, was working with IBM and put together a bunch of different pieces, very disruptive. We saw the technology changing, the trends changing. A lot of these things happen with technologies. When I was with IBM, we worked in business development and emerging technologies, emerging business offerings. And so we put together a whole program that's centered around iTunes, IP rights, not iTunes, but tunes, downloadable music, videos, and all the rights associated with that, and all the technology associated with that. And I took that then, and we went to 4 or 5 different organizations that it was adjacent to their core business. And none of them wanted to go down this path. They found it too disruptive. They didn't recognize the disruption, even though we talked about this is going to happen, this is going to evolve. About 9 months later, Apple announced the iTunes using a component of what we were proposing. Now, if I were to go back now, 8 years later, 10 years later, and say, would you allow for this disruption? Every one of those organizations would say, absolutely, I would. Because where their business took a hit because they got disintermediated, other businesses have taken off because of the disruption. Stephen asked me about the eZassi. eZassi started about 14 years ago as eZassi Medical, and we were a med tech company. Our CEO, his sister was in a horse accident and fell off a horse and went into a coma. Now, his background and his family's background were in the med tech space. So he came up with a design of a new feeding type of apparatus that would help in the delivery of medications to a patient in the situation that his sister was in. So he had his designs, he created some patents, the company ended up with like 20-something patents, and some outside patents. We were open innovation practitioners, some outside patents, along with some adjacent technologies and adjacent industries, put them all together and created a new solution. Unfortunately, his sister passed away before that process got completed. But when they did complete it, other people benefited from the technology. Ended up selling off that technology, and we repeated that process 2-3 additional times. And in the process, we always tried to work towards expediting the process of innovation and open innovation. How can you make it more effective, more efficient? How can you take out a lot of that upfront time and cost that it requires to do an innovation? So we actually started focusing on, because our innovation was around external and also unsolicited ideation, how can you start to put better processes in place and tools in place in order to expedite that front end of innovation? So what we're seeing is combining these with the other pieces of insights, ideation, innovation, and invention. And is this something that's worlds colliding, or is this something that's going to create a new universe, is the concept. Again, we already hit on that. But we have people from all over the place. Naveen and his with the different groups and everybody else. Everybody else has that same solar system, if you would, right? You have the same access to the same types of individuals. People want to engage with you, you want to engage with them. But what are some mechanisms for doing that? We've seen some good examples today with Matthew and with Naveen of how you can engage with those folks. But it's being able to do that not only in a help me figure out what I already know or direction I already go, but help me get ideas that I'm not even aware of. Matthew talked about the guys in the garage, the guys that are emerging technologies. How do you embrace emerging technologies as part of your open innovation program? Pre-patented ideas, all these things. How can you make that part of your program is where we're going to focus on this conversation. We all see these. I mean, we have these, this is kind of like the vision of the world. More ideas, more quality ideas, more people engaged, being able to see more pieces. But are we really getting here? I say we're not getting here. I say it's a vision we want to go to, and we talk about the funnel and having the funnel come in and have the ideas coming in. But are we really getting here? And one of the big factors is the risk and complexity of actually getting to that point to where you're talking an equal availability of internal and external ideation, as well as solicited and unsolicited ideation. We have the different fragmented systems, if you would. Each one on its own has its own value base, and the value is in each one of those components. But it begs the question of what could the value be if you actually allowed all those to interoperate, to where insights were merged in with unsolicited external ideas that are even pre-patented. So you have a lot of things that have to work together in order for that to happen. And if you can do it, the left-hand side are some of the business results that you would be able to accomplish. Today, as we've seen in most of the presentation so far, on the outbound side, you have your marketing insights, which are important. You know, Naveen talked about having the insights, to, creating the solutions, as have the other speakers. But you also just have the permeability of the organization. Ideas are coming in, and there's risk associated with those ideas coming in. Most people try and ignore it, or you put up a portal that has a form, or you have a person stuck in an office someplace that whenever those ideas come in, they get shuttled over to that person, and they keep them isolated away from the rest of the organization because of exposure concerns. One of the things of the factors is the unsolicited policies. So is there a policy for when ideas come in? How do you handle those? And what are the ways in which you need to address those? And it's an important aspect. All companies have this. You get contact us, emails, you know, with the digital age, they're all coming in, but are you putting them into a room in a corner by themselves, or are you actually trying to figure out how to drive value out of that? And that was one of the things that was eZassi Medical that we focused on. Again, the terms and conditions. Unique terms and conditions for unique situations. And somebody's asked the question multiple times about, do you have different terms and conditions? You have to have different terms and conditions depending on what the interaction is. If it's an insight and it's a one-to-many relationship, that's one environment. If it's more technical and it's a one-to-one relationship, that's a different environment. If it's patented, that's one. If it's pre-patented, a different relationship when it comes to IP rights and to those areas of focus. Unstructured, a lot of people go down this path, even ones that have been in open innovation forever. You put a form up there. Send me your idea, answer the question. Inconsistent, manual process, hyperbole, not getting the information that you really want, and probably inaccurate. But it is a way to capture information consistently. However, it's not very friendly to the organization and to the process of expediting ideation. And of course, all this centers around the ability of freedom to operate. And it's important to have freedom to operate not only for the receiver of the information, but for the submitter. So how can you bilaterally protect the rights of both the submitter and the receiver so that the submitter wants to engage with you in technologies that are even emerging technologies, even pre-patented type of technologies? Again, the eye clips, and that got messed up over there, it rolled over, but you'll get the idea that if you can do it, you can spend time in the before the or on the left-hand side as opposed to the after the or. You can get consumer-driven design, crowdsourcing, community ideation. You can embrace emerging technologies and disruptive submissions as opposed to requiring patented or pre-patented patent-pending ideas coming into the organization. It gives you all that freedom. But there's a challenge. If this is where we want to go and the value is there, why aren't we all getting there? Why aren't we all already here? Because we've been talking about it for a long time. And the reason is because there's a 500-pound gorilla in the room looking like Darth Vader. And that 500-pound gorilla is IP rights, IP law. Coming into the business, what's the exposure? How do you mitigate the risk? So they mitigate the risk right now. Most of you do this. There's some exceptions. But you put insights over here. You put challenges over here. You might even outsource or have intermediaries do your challenges. You take those unstructured ideas that come into the organization, the external ones, and you send them over to a room over here, and the IP guys are saying, make sure you keep everybody separate because we have IP rights that we have to manage and maintain. And it's absolutely true. You have to do that, and the risk if you don't do it is extremely high. Patent reform made it even more challenging, and the reason it got more challenging was because it went from first to invent to first to file, which now made the submitters even more afraid to submit and engage with you, because now if they engage with you in a way that exposes them, then they could lose the rights to that particular idea. So how do you get them engaged beforehand? The way you do it is you create an environment that is friendly to submitters, that does not allow them to make mistakes in submitting information to you, and also allows them to provide the information that is important to you to make decisions and have opinions on any particular idea submitted. So again, the keys in this area is having structured data through disclosure, modifying and managing the innovation policies by community type. Suppliers have a different role, as we've seen, than do consumers or customers. So having community-based interactions and engagement is important. Again, overcome the fear of unsolicited. Put into a process controls, and I'm going to show you this, of being able to capture information in a way that encourages submitters to come in and interoperate with your organization in an interface. So the keys to success in open innovation. We spend a lot of time, my colleagues and I, talking about this and saying, if you're taking a insights and a marketing type of insights flair, and you want to also embrace emerging technologies that are more unstructured or coming in from different places, coming into the organization. It's like taking the crowd and putting it together with IP lawyers. How do you put those together? And we came up with a vision that I think helps us understand the difficulty in merging two things and having it come out looking good. And that's the mullet. Because the mullet, as most of us know, it doesn't go over as well in Europe, but is party in the front, or business in the front, party in the back, right? And that's what we're talking about. Although in this case, we're really talking about the reverse mullet. Party in the front, business in the back. You have to have both of those together, but you have to manage them in order to get one good-looking hairdo. I'll love it from the 1990s. But it's serious in the fact that you have to have it be engaging and fun and interactive on one side, but on the other side, you have to have a way for that same individual to go into a very responsible area, a one-to-many or many-to-many in the party side, and on the business side, a more one-to-one relationship, whether it be patented or pre-patented type of content that you're exchanging. So a case study. Last year at FEI, we were there, and the CEO from Campbell Soup presented and said that one of their board mandates was to do growth in the business for a certain percentage through organic growth, okay? And one of the pillars of that organic growth was innovation. They had that same situation. They had an employee portal. They had an external access point that went over to that closed-off room. They had the marketing folks with their insights, and they had all these pieces together. So they decided they needed to put them all together into one platform, into one reverse mullet, to give all the value that they needed to be able to accomplish all they wanted to accomplish. Again, it's going to be on a portal, it's going to be mobile. But if you look in the lower right-hand corner, the red portion here, it's the want. They're not looking for recipes. They're not looking for flavor combinations. They're looking for real innovations to help improve their business, whether it be ingredients, products, packaging, processes, or sustainability. Most of them are technology-based. But they're looking for real ideas, and so far they've been getting excellent ideas across all those areas that are valuable to them. Now, how is it working is they have the insights area, so they have the party in the front side. People can come in, they can do like we've talked about with the crowd and with the insights capture. People can form opinions, people can rate, they can star rate, they can thumbs up, they can thumbs down. All those analytics are captured. That's the party side. It's a one-to-many and a many-to-many relationship across different communities, whether it be consumers, customers, employees, suppliers, inventors, experts, rest of world. And that's one side, and that's an important side, but within the same structure, they also have the structured data capture side. This is a side that is the business side, that is the one-to-one relationship. And instead of having it be free-form text, it's built in a structured digital interview. No two people get the same structured digital interview in this scenario, because each structured digital interview is based on how you're answering the questions that get asked. And based on your answers, determines what the follow-on questions are based on the information that's being received. In this way, we're able to not only capture the information in a structured format, we're able to automatically assess it based on the strategic criteria of the organization, in this case Campbell's. A different swing on things. The end result of that is an Invention report that starts off as a non-confidential document. So when it comes in, it's non-confidential. There is no room for interpretation. There is no error. Outputs are delivered. You can have additional content available as well. This is what's generated in that one-to-one business side of the equation. Challenges become a challenge in the fact that where do you put them? Well, the user doesn't have to worry about that. What we do is the two challenges on the left are unstructured party in the front challenges. We're looking for opinion. We're looking for insights. So we put that challenge in that venue for the submitters. The one on the right has a chance for there to be IP exposure because we're talking about potential technologies and processes, and so that gets handled in a structured way that we just saw. So we're able to put both of those together, and by the way, then take the top ideas and put them into an expert system that allows you to advance those ideas. And in this case, you're now able to take ideas from both sides, put it into an environment, and now internally assign experts to work on that environment and to work on that particular solution. Let's say you go down a path, and if you notice in the top right there, it starts off with, in this case, a one-to-one in the Invention report, a non-confidential document. So as you collaborate on it internally, it tracks all the information. You know who touched it, who said what, and all the other pieces of information that go along with it. You can now go down a path and advance it through stages and say, we could go this direction or this direction or this direction. Let's ask the crowd. You can now take a component, non-confidential component, put it into the crowd, get their information, bring it back in as part of the collaboration, and it identifies what was put into the crowd and how the crowd reacted to it as part of an input in what direction any party would like to go or the organization would like to go across any particular submission. All this information is then captured in a data repository. You have all the data, you have all the raw data, you have all the cumulative data. You can now start to find insights, not just on the consumer side, but insights on emerging technologies and disruptive technologies based on the type of data that is coming in to the organization. Again, this is the loop of how it works, and we've seen this time and time again. The difference is the fact that we're using comprehensive digital interviews, automatically generating scored reports based on your criteria, allowing you to collaborate now to take it to a level beyond that, advance the stages, all that's collected, and put it into a repository as you move it further down the PLM process. Again, trends. I'll just go to the last one, number 6, next generation. Portal technology can grow and manage communities, extend reach, and manage legal compliance. And it's all captured in a single environment, whether it's the unstructured side, whether it's the structured side, internal or external, solicited or unsolicited. There are no best practices, I just learned that. But in this case, we'll just call it just good practices. Offer risk protection. Avoid confidential submissions. Allow you to match the terms and conditions to the appropriate person at the appropriate time based on the type of engagement. Align submissions to strategic initiatives and being able to allow technology to automatically score those ideas based on that, and we can do it because it's structured and we know what the combination of answers, so algorithms analyze the combination of answers to determine how well it matches against the strategic initiatives or criteria of an organization. Automatically analyzes, also automatically generates submitter responses, so you don't have to worry about that. The submitter gets responses as that particular submission advances, and again stores in a repository, giving you additional information, allowing you to analyze that data and have your own data captured that you can then work through. And that is the gist of it. So I've got time for questions. See, I knew there'd be no questions. No questions at all, because usually when I give the presentation, the demonstration, we get a lot of questions. People don't believe it.
not coming in with any confidential information or prepackaged ideas?
Because in the structure, so the question was, how do we get by not having them put it, how do we get by with them knowing that they're not putting in confidential information? It's because it's a structured digital interview. So we ask specific questions. If I can just back up really quickly, if this will work. We ask specific questions. So it's not free-form text entry. Specific questions are asked. The answers are already there. They can answer the questions a single, or they can answer multiple questions. The combination of answers give you insights to the essence of the submission and why they think it's pertinent and important to you and what the value is to you. You understand what these mean to you. The submitter does not. They're simple questions, simple answers. And this is an example of 3 of them. You can't really see that one. But it would go through a whole process. And based on how they answer a question will determine what their next question is. Because now you're capturing insights. So you can find out how well does it fit to your strategic directions. You can find out what categories it fits in, what operational processes it might benefit, what brands it might benefit, as well as does it fit within the technical ramifications of your manufacturing processes. And they're answering questions that they don't know. If they don't know, they say, I don't know. But then you know it's an area that needs further discovery. And the algorithms look at multiple answers to determine how well this fits in with your decision criteria. And then gives your people that are on the internally this output that is consistent, has the output you're looking for, and allows the people now internally to determine how well it fits, and they know exactly where to go to look to find the information that's important to them, as opposed to free-form text or attachments or all the other inconsistencies that exist in the marketplace or exist out there. We're in life sciences, med tech. We'll soon be in pharma, CPG, food and beverage. We'll be in chemicals soon, and we'll be in a different category, more technical on the CPG side. This is one of the questions when I came over from IBM. It's open innovation, industry and industry. It's open innovation. Solve for the business of open innovation, and it's applicable across the board. The only difference is what information is important to you as an output, and what types of questions, what type of insights do you need, and it's specific to everybody, in order to capture and garner the information that can allow you to quickly have an opinion on an idea submitted, and it's submitted to where you only understand the essence of the idea. You don't have to give you all the details of everything. You understand how well it fits in with what is important to you, with what your operations are. Anybody else? We're out here. Feel free to stop by. Be happy to have further conversations with anyone.
All right, Randy, give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks.